Hi everybody, hope you're doing marvellously well. We're big, bad and back, but I'm not dressed in black, but of course Stefan is. And we're here at Abbey Road with the rather wonderful Mr. Stefan Brown. How the devil are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm good. It's really interesting because we're doing the outro and the intro.
Yeah.
So we've actually already been working. So we have to pretend we just met each other for, hello,
Yeah.
how are you? No, it's been really good. We have done 5 masters with you.
Yeah.
Well, technically 4 because you already mastered the Roebucks song that we did at Brighton Electric, which was a lot of fun because I went into a room I didn't know with a band I'd never worked with, and we did pre-production, recording, mixing, and everything all in a day, which I think is probably a lot of people's watching experience. I mean, that's modern life, isn't it? Nobody has budgets to do that. And that was great because we broke that down and you showed us how you mastered it, which is really fantastic. And now we're going to do 4 other tracks, which came from Produce Like a Pro Academy members. And they are, I'm looking over here for notes, Mark Beeson. Hey, Mark. The great Chris Ibbotson, of course. Tim Hoke, supremely talented, one of his songs. And Lem Meador. And they're all very different songs.
Yeah, quite a few different vibes in here. Really fun to have worked on, but also will.
Yeah. So the 4 of them that we just talked about all are done from scratch. So you're going to see it in real time and you're going to hear him talk about why he's making the moves and the plugins he's using. And of course, hardware as well.
Yeah. Lots of hardware on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been fun for us because it's Abbey Road. So we get and go and hang out in the cafeteria, get a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Had a rather good lunch today, I will say.
Yeah. Cooked breakfast.
Yeah.
Go wrong.
Yeah. It was like a 2 p.m. full English breakfast.
Yeah.
Very happy. The great thing about this, of course, is you're going to follow along with Stefan and see what he's doing and hear what he's doing. But also you can download, there's a link down below where you can download the before and after. So you can take it and master it the way you want. You can listen to, his master and also follow along and do whatever you like. It's quite fascinating. For me, it was interesting, of course, because using a couple of plugins that I've never used before.
Yeah, there's a few interesting ones here. Some made for mixing, some for other stuff.
And a new one that's coming out soon.
Yeah, that's by a friend of mine, which you'll probably hear more about.
So I suppose without further ado, let's get started.
Yeah.
So this particular song is the Roebucks. I always want to say Roeblocks. Because when you have kids, or even people who don't have kids, I know adults that actually love playing Roblox. Anyway, so the Roebucks. And this was an interesting one because it was a day in Brighton Electric in their main studio with an old broadcast Neve in a room I never worked on, which I think was exactly the same speakers you've got, but with a massive sub. And I had no idea on the low end. I think we did it on an 8-track. I think it was all done with 8 tracks, with some obviously lead vocal overdubs. But I honestly don't know how it sounds. It sounded as well as I could expect it in the room. Also, I think you probably hear this a lot from mixers. When I came to mix it on the same day that we tracked it, I just didn't overly boost or cut anything more than I normally would. Even if I couldn't, I couldn't hear it. So my question is, did you have to do anything to the low end?
I did a small little dynamic dip in the low end, but only a dB. Like everything else was fine.
I was worried it might not have enough because of the sub in there.
So the low end feels very full.
Yeah.
But it was a bit overbearing in the punch.
Okay.
At points where, especially if you listen on headphones, it was quite dunk, dunk in your ears. So I just wanted to tame that a little without getting rid of any of the fullness. Okay. So in a way, dampening that little transient makes the low end feel a little more full as well, especially with the little bit of compression I've used.
So show me what you used to tame the low end.
Yeah, simply use this dynamic EQ down here. Dipping. Just when this kick transient hits, in the really low frequencies, we're at 60 hertz.
That's me, that's what I boosted.
Yeah.
That's what I always boost down there, yeah?
So just really gently to tame that, and as you can see, it's not really moving a ton, and it's only reactive to a transient. And there's maybe a half dB dip, and then it dynamically drops down half a dB. And then there's also just a little low mid. Yeah. Like I just tamed just under half a dB as well. Really gentle. And that's the only EQ I did on the track.
Would you have the low mid dip, like 250 or something?
242.
242.
Yeah. I just felt it. Like
No. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I always pull out a lot of 350 fairly wide on kick,
Mm-hmm.
but I do like a 200-ish on the low end on the guitars.
Yeah.
I keep that. I don't usually boost it on bass, but there's that often there could be an overlap at about 250-ish.
Yeah.
So I wondered if you cut it there.
Yeah, just a tiny bit. It was mainly like where the sort of lower end of the vocals,
Right.
and there's the guitars there and stuff too. It just felt a little overbearing. But like I said, it's less than half a dB, so
That's cool.
it's not. Yeah, it's nothing drastic.
But what I like is we're hearing it the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah, but I really didn't. The mix was great. If I go through what I did, so the mix was already pretty loud, so I didn't really have to do too much there. First thing I did was I pulled up a clipper here, but I'm not actually doing any clipping. I've got all the processing turned off before, so it should be. It's just raising the level, but it's not actually hitting the clipper at all. And then I have invisible limiter after the clipper.
Who makes that?
AOM. It's a really great transparent limiter. I love it. I love that it's simple. There's like basically no controls. It's like input gain, output gain.
Yeah.
Basically that.
Okay.
So I'll use this quite a lot. And that's hitting 2 dB. And then after that, I have a tiny bit of Oxford Inflator.
I love that plugin.
Yeah, it's doing everything's default, but it's doing 8% effect. And that's it. So first thing I did was I got the loudness because I want to get it to a level where I feel it sounds full and powerful, and then work from there. And that's my standard workflow. So my intentions with this track, it already sounded great. So I didn't really want to.
I appreciate that. It was very punk rock thrown together in a day. So
those are the best kind of mixes. So
okay, good.
But yeah, it sounded great. It had a lot of vibes. So I didn't want to change that. I just wanted to bring out a bit more of it, like what makes it feel special. And there's a lot of really nice instrumentation, everything going on, like these stacked vocals that are really nice. So first thing I did was I used free plugin MSED, and all I'm doing is boosting the side signal 1.3 dB. Bypass it. It just brings out a little bit of those vocals on the side that feel like gang vocals in a way. If I mute the mid and like the twang of those guitars is stuff too, if I really just wanted to pop through a bit more. So this is a side signal that I'm boosting, and it's nice boosting the side signal too because it's already out of phase, so I can make it feel wider without ruining the mono compatibility.
Right.
So that was my go-to there. Then I went straight to compression, and I did actually compress this track a tiny bit. I used the Magic Defi compressor on the fastest attack release setting, but then with the attack set to slow.
Yeah.
But the fastest dual setting of a 200 hertz filter, and oversampling on 2 times for this. And it's hitting about 0.2 to 4 dB. Okay. And that's just tying it up a little. It's getting the groove a bit more solid and stuff, and also taming that low end a bit, bringing it all together.
I can see you like serial things, like a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah, usually I work that way. Like, for example, if I do like an EQ boost early on, and then I do other stuff, and then like that frequency I did the EQ boost on is quite hot, I'm likely more, unless it absolutely has to be done this way, but I'm likely more to use another EQ after to dip it. Because of course, if I'm doing like saturation or compression or anything, the frequencies that I boosted before are going to affect that.
Sure.
So I want all these nonlinear processes to act how I've made them act. I don't want to change how they're acting, but then after I might dip again. So I'll probably do that as something similar in other tracks, and you'll see.
In mixing, I will, if I'm using like a bass boost, I will actually slightly high pass before going into the bass boost to control how it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I find with any kind of bass boost I use on any fancy plugin, it just brings up unwanted crap.
Yeah.
So if I can just kind of like tame what's going in and then enhance it afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's great working on a mix like this, because it's already pretty much been taken care of, and the low end sounds full and amazing. So I really didn't have to do anything there. The next thing I did was when this chorus comes in, the female vocal got a little peaky from my taste.
Yeah.
So I use a multi-band compressor. All I'm doing is just pulling back on this vocal range, and it's pulling down maybe like up to half a dB. I'm not sure the exact figure, but then it also doesn't activate on the rest of the song.
Right.
So
I see.
I finally tuned it to work there, and from what I remember, yeah, really slow attack, really slow release.
Okay.
So it's a very smooth gain reduction,
Okay.
and it's very smooth to come back up. So it just tames that vocal a
Do
little.
you find yourself ever using de-essing?
Yeah, I do
Some
use
of
the de-essing. I really like at the moment. I'll probably use it a bit later. The plugin TDR Arbiter, and I like high frequency limiting a lot.
Okay,
So
good.
quite often I'll boost the highs and then squash them back down.
Right. I understand.
Yeah, and make it like really full and heavy in the high end, but
Right.
not peaky. So I do that quite often. After that, I wanted to do a bit of saturation just to make the track feel a bit more full and vibey.
Okay.
And all I use for that, really simple, is I use the Michelangelo EQ.
Don't know this at all.
So this is by Tone Projects, and I love it. It's a very kind of, in a way, like massive passive kind of EQ where the
Sure.
bands affect each other, and it's just low, mid, high, air, and they're quite vague. They have just a couple frequencies you can select on each one.
Yeah.
Some of them have like it's more smooth or sharp sort of thing.
Right.
So I haven't used this for any EQ though. All I've done is turned up the saturation level, but really gently. It's only hitting about a quarter of the way through. And then I've turned up the aggression, which is kind of like it drives it into the distortion, but with a bit of a low frequency boost I've found when listening. So like it's hitting about halfway between 0 and 1, so 0.5. If I were to really boost it, you get quite big.
Getting pretty tired of this.
So a bit of a boost in the low end. So all I did was just give it a bit of saturation. And
Hey Mona, getting pretty.
it kind of sounds quite similar to the kite down there, in the kind of distortion you get. So I just did that really gently, and then let me bring that back down. So it's sitting about here. So it's going to there, and then it's going to the black box, which has a little bit of saturation engaged, and then so about a quarter of the way through again, and then a tiny bit on the pentode and pull back a bit on the triode. And that the mix on this is.
And what are the pentode and the triad doing? Are they highlighting specific frequencies for you?
It's odd even
Okay.
it's kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Hey Mona,
my words are like blast.
getting pretty tired of
A
this.
bit bright on it.
Hey Mona,
Yeah, a bit warmer on the pentode, but they work together too. So if you kind of pull back on one and boost the
I
other,
understand.
it changes the sound.
Right.
But I'm only using this again. The mix is on 11%,
Okay.
so really subtle. I didn't want to
Okay.
go too far with it. So that's kind
hey
of
Mona,
just a little bit less exciting.
pretty tired of this. Hey Mona, can't you think of some?
After that comes the low EQ. I didn't want to dip the lows before because I liked the way the lows were being saturated.
Right.
So that was part of why if I didn't do the saturation, I might not have done this.
Mhm.
But I liked how they're being saturated, but it was maybe just a bit too loud. Just a really gentle.
I'm getting this. Can't you think of someone else?
And then when it says just a bit easier to listen
Okay.
to, in my opinion. And then after that, I used 1 dB at 5K on the air band of the Mag EQ.
Okay.
And that's that.
Hey Mona,
Yeah, the mild review is great.
Yeah,
I'm getting
just it makes it a bit more sparkly. So if I take that off,
I'm getting pretty tired of this.
I would say the best way to describe it is you make it more of what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going for.
It's not coming out sounding like, whoa, okay, that's interesting, you know. And
definitely there are times where you have to take that approach, but the majority of the time I listen to the mix and I hear what's beautiful about it.
Right.
But, okay, how can I bring this out?
Great. Yeah.
Like, I'm not really trying to get rid of anything you've done. I'm wanting to enhance what you've got there.
Great.
My intention isn't to just go fixing. Like, as soon as I go in, just, okay, I need to fix this. I don't think that's a good way to work.
That whole attitude resonates with me greatly because I feel like when I'm working with an artist, say the singer, and they just give me a vocal take of which 90% of it isn't very good, but there's 10% of it's great.
Yeah.
I don't talk about 90% I don't like. I talk about the bit I do like and get more of that.
Exactly. And
yeah, definitely the way to work.
For me,
enhance what's the good about something.
Yeah. And for me, every mix that I feel is ever done, even if it's not like the most professional or amazing mix ever, it's someone listened to it and put their emotion into it and thought, I like that. And then if it's coming to me, they're happy with it. So it's not my job to say, hey, your mix isn't good. Like that's never the case. And like the best mixes ever made, looking back, probably mixes that people say this is wrong, you know?
Yeah.
So it makes no sense to go just changing everything. It makes sense to enhance what's there, make it more enjoyable, and assume things are already what people want, and then just take it further.
Good.
That's definitely my way of working. I'm going back to my like final loudness stuff now that we've got the effects in, just to see how it's hitting.
Yep.
So again, the clipper isn't doing anything. I was just getting up to 0 and seeing if I wanted any clipping, and I decided not to. The mix was already loud, and I kind of liked how it's just hitting the limiter.
Yeah.
So, it's not hitting the clipper at all. It peaks to 2 dB on the limiter.
I want to know more about that.
Yeah, we'll get into it, but it's very simple limiter.
Yeah.
The only really mode selection is linear and logarithmic.
Okay.
Linear is a bit quicker, logarithmic's a bit smoother, and then oversampling, and then you have through, clip, or suppress, which is kind of your final output modes. So through acts as a through limiter, but I have a fun limiter to talk about in a minute, which we'll get to.
Okay, great.
So yeah, that's saying 2 dB. Now I'm just giving it a tiny bit of extra saturation, which is something I like to do after limiting quite often. I find it kind of rounds out those peaks that like limiting will make, where it kind of squashes it a bit, and it can just give it that little final extra push.
Okay.
It's subtle if I turn it on and back on. It's really subtle, but it just gives it a little something extra.
I always forget to talk about the Oxford stuff. Recently, there's been a couple of like new gating plugins that have come out, and then everybody's like, they're all really good, but go back to Oxford stuff. The Sonic stuff is really good.
Yeah.
And their drum gate is.
I think Inflator might go on pretty much everything I do.
Good.
In some capacity. I love it. And even if I'm not doing anything, I like using it as a gain control if I ever need it. So it usually ends up on everything I do.
I think what happens for many of us, myself included, is we sometimes we chase after the new shiny things. Yeah. And then we forget that actually these guys have been making that plugin for like 10 plus years. Yeah. And it's been amazing for 10 plus years.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how I approach the track.
Excellent.
Yeah, I have a quick gain match reference version. A little more impactful. Yeah, a little smoother as well. Right, certain places. So I'm going to be working on this song now, Punching Up by Jack Fine, and it's kind of, from what I've listened to, quite a poppy, energetic track. So I want to definitely retain all that. I might not talk so much whilst I'm working on it, so that I'm in the zone, but I'll kind of explain what I'm doing as I go along. So just kind of giving it a listen through it, picking up how it sounds, what's going on. So it's quite a dynamic track, macro-wise and also peak-wise. So I like that. And we have quite a quiet intro. Really kind of skipping through. So this is a track where I might do some automation on, try to change a few things up per section. But I'm going to start on the whole track as one. I'm going to probably start with the main. The first thing I'm going to do is get it to a level where I feel works for the track. So I do really like the Acoustica Ash plugin. And the level of the clip will probably change as I go through adding stuff and the gain changes. So, but I'm going to keep it on the other screen. Got that really fat kick drum and low end, which I want to be careful that I don't ruin. And then I have a limiter here, which you'll probably be interested in more. It's not released yet. It's made by a friend of mine, Andrew Reinhardt, in California. And it is just the most transparent sounding limiter.
Nice.
And this may be like the 5th or 6th version that I'm using at the moment. It's very bare bones, as you can see, but you'll probably hear about it soon.
When's it officially coming out? And is he fine with you talking about it?
Oh, yeah, he'll be fine. Yeah. I've told him already that because I use it in pretty much everything. So
excellent.
Yeah. So for this track, I'll probably give it like 3 dB, maybe. And then double up with a couple of dB in Invisible because I do want this track to be somewhat loud. The reason why I like to get my loudness first is you can instantly hear things that come out maybe too much. So like I can hear straight away. Snare might eat something, or maybe I might balance out the low end a little more to make those upper mids sit a bit cleaner. So getting my loudness first works there. I'm going to give it a ceiling of minus 0.2 for now. I always want to be checking my reference. Make sure I'm not really messing anything up. So definitely the limiteds are making it a bit brighter. So that might be something I want to tame. And I have a load of plugins loaded up when I start a session, but they're just there as they're tools I often use, but it doesn't mean that I'm definitely going to use them. But the first thing I am going to look at doing is maybe doing a little bit of EQ. So pretty subtle there, and it's pretty much as far as I want to do, I think. Definitely losing some of that low end limiters, but I want to bring that back with the analog. So I'm going to put in my analog insert now. And the order I'm running the analog at the moment is the SPL Vitalizer Mark III into the Fermionic Kite, and then the Whitestone P331 loading amplifier, and then into the Alicia Alpha compressor, and then it's going back through the AD. So going to the analog, I'm not going to use the SPL Vitalizer. I'm going to go straight to the Kite, and I want to give it some lowers at 70. This is a Pultec style EQ, so I'm thinking I might just cut it. Pretty much what I want to do now. I'm going to take it over to the 3331. And this is a little bit of compression, saturation, all that sort of thing. Very subtle unit. And then the Alicia I want to just use for the transformer, because I think it's nice and quite thick on this track. So I don't want to do any compression on it, but thinking about it, I might. I'll see in a second. I like how that's sounding like that. I think I'm going to do a little bit of compression bit in the box. That's my whole analog chain done there, I think. Some Patrick. And then back in the box, I'm going to use the Magic Deathfire compressor. I'm going to give it a tiny bit of compression. And I'm only doing that to tighten it up a little. It doesn't really need much compression, and a lot of times I don't use any compression. But I really like how this compressor sounds, especially doing like less than 0.5 dB. So it's definitely a lot more exciting, which I really like. And then I'm thinking I might just add. I'm just adjusting the analog, be a little less heavy on the lows. Give it a small little dynamic dip. So I'm pretty happy with that as a general sound for the entire track. I want to check the other sections and see how we're working. No?
Haven't seen you pound until we bend. The millions you stare selling trinkets and trash. Last year's prom queen.
One thing I'm noticing is the snare hit might be a little...
Millions you stash selling trinkets and trash. Last year's prom queen. American dream. As you read the treasury, spreading your disease, loving every step and sting, demanding fealty, the only currency. One big Ponzi scheme, we're gonna smithereens. That's why we're punching up. Yeah, we're punching up. We've all had enough. Now we're punching cash from your money,
And I think the intro,
trinkets and trash.
I want to give it a little bit more level. So I'm going to create a fade there. I'm going to boost the intro, see what it feels like.
You pound until we bend, telling lies and claiming all we see is fake. Hands full of cash from your money grabs, the millions you stash selling trinkets and trash. Your money grabs, the millions you stash selling trinkets and trash. Last year's prom queen.
I still want to...
Old American dream.
Let's control our snare hit a little bit.
We stab and sting, demanding fealty, the only currency. One big Ponzi scheme, we're gonna smithereens. That's why we're punching up. Yeah, we're punching up. Ponzi scheme, we're gonna smithereens. That's why we're punching up.
For this section here,
Fealty scheme, we're gonna smithereens. That's why we're punching up. That's why we're punching. That's why.
so for this section, like the kind of exit of the chorus, just want to pull back some of the high end. Give it a gentle 0.2 dB boost. Since me getting rid of the high end is going to pull away some of the energy. So just gently taming that as well. So I noticed there's some quite essy. So I just want to tame some of these using TDR arbiter. So And just the low end a little more.
The only currency. The only currency. Currency. The only currency. The only currency. The only currency. The only currency. Up, yeah, we're punching up. We've all had enough. Now we're punching.
This section I still
We're
a
punching.
little bright.
We're punching up. We've all had enough. Now we're punching. We're punching up. We've all had enough. Now we're punching. We're punching up. Now we're punching. We're punching up. We've all had enough. Now we're punching. We're punching up. We've all had. You count among your friends. Doesn't claiming all we see is flash from your mind. One by one, you think we're still
So similar to the intro.
penniless.
Want to give this section a little boost, but maybe a bit less. So like half a dB-ish.
One by one, you think we're still. You count among your friends the dirty.
Also check how this low end
Penniless. Penniless.
sounding quite a lot thicker, and the analog saturation is doing something quite nice with it. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Your day comes. Penniless. Your friends ask your last.
I think I'm not going to use the level automation now.
American dream as you settle petty scores, threaten foreign wars, loving every stab and sting, demanding fealty. What I mean, got solutions. Look, what I mean, got solutions. Got
So similar with the little exit of the chorus section in the first part of the track. I'm going to use the same EQ. Just going to give it, let's see how it feels. I did also boost it 0.2 dB. So I'll copy that over to the first section I use this EQ on. Yeah. Just so we have. Pulling back on the low mids, and I think to make it a little more impactful, I'm going to give it 0.5 dB of side signal. I'm going to copy both bits over, so they're doing the same thing. So I think widening this signal up a little as it hits in.
Last year's concrete.
So we have another section with the same thing going on at the end. So I'm just gonna replicate that. This last section, maybe another 0.1 dB of a boost. And then one final thing I want to do on the track is I want to add a high frequency limiter, just because it is a bit bright. So I want to tame that a little. So usually I go for the preset in Pro and B and tweak it a bit. So add the clipper a little. Cool, and then we're by the Roebucks track. I think I'm gonna give a little bit of the oxygen inflator. I'm thinking only 5% this time. The kick is getting a bit heavy. It's a sound I like on this track, but I don't want to overdo it. And then I'm thinking might give it of a boost where this vocal kind of lives and the guitars and things post the inflated and limited. So I adjust my output gain to reflect that. So it's going to be a very subtle change, just 0.2 dB, but after limiting your EQ changes and stuff, going to be quite a bit more dramatic as well. American dream as you read the treasury spreading. I give prior to the analog. I'm just going to give it a tiny little. American dream as you read the treasury spreading your disease, loving every. This is just to tame how much the analog is reacting to the kick in terms of the saturation I've added with a kite. Last year's one thing I might do is pull back on that. And from there, I think I'm pretty much done. So just checking over everything now.
American dream as you read the treasury, spreading your disease, loving every.
I think I'm gonna pull back this limiter to 1.5 and give invisible an extra 0.5. So more of the tone of it.
American dream as you read the treasury, spreading your disease, loving every. We've all had enough, now we're punching up.
And I'm not really paying attention to like the loss level or anything. I'm pretty happy with the loudness it is at my reference level. I think it sounds full and powerful. So that's where I'm sitting at loss. It's hitting, I think, a peak about -7.2. So I am actually going to use the SPL Vitalizer. And what I'm doing here is I've got the process on 5, and then I'm tuning it to the soft to try and bring the low end of the kick and the low end of the guitar a bit, make it a bit fatter, and then add in compression on the low end, just kind of swoosh it low, and then a little bit of high bass here and here. All right, so. So the one thing I do find with the SPL Vitalizer is it can dampen the vocals a little. So quite often after I do want to do a little bit of a boost in the vocal range, now it sounds pretty even throughout. So I'm quite happy with that. So at this point, I'll do a print to get all the analog and everything, and I'll print it before all the loudness stuff. So the loudness stuff will be added on again to the print, but I print copy before all that goes through. So now I've done a print of everything, like I said, without any loudness stuff. This is at the point where I will then, if it's more than one song, I'll make sure the sequence is right, the phase and everything are right, and then it will go through the loudness section. One thing I wanted to mention is that everything I work on, I always leave unless like really intense deadlines are there. I'll usually always leave it until the evening or the next day. I won't send it all off straight away, and I'll just give it a listen and see how I feel about it. And occasionally it might mean like might add like half a dB of bass or something like that. But generally when I'm at this point, it's done. But yeah, it's good to take some time before sending off, just making sure, because especially with a track like this where you're getting quite intricate, you kind of get out of the listener perspective, and you can move more into being maybe a bit too technical about it. So once your ears reset, you've worked on other material, and I like at the end of the day just to listen to everything I've done for the day and then make all my final files and send out to everyone. And it's a workflow that really works to me, and it's something I think you should consider rather than just going through something, making your files and sending it off. So now I'm going to be working on the track Let It Loose by Tim Hoke. It seems to rock song, nice guitars, nice drums, quite atmospheric, so I like that. Straight away, we can see that we have a lot of silence at the beginning and end. So that's something we're going to want to take care of. So I'm just going to do a little trim now. Make sure I'm not missing anything for the print. So that's this noise at the end. And then I'm going to So I'm noticing really nice fat low end. The guitars on the side are really sparkly, really nice sounding. And days went by in a darker place. To never have to go for. It's a really wide mix and everything, so it's pretty got everything there. I definitely want to add just a little bit more excitement, really, mainly in the high end, I think. So I'm work on this section right now to get kind of my loudness again. So I'm going to use acoustica hash there. It's pretty loud, I think. I'm going to give it like 2 dB with invisible limiter. It's pretty loud. I think I might want to just get a little bit more for the energy. I'm going to use the vintage limiter on Ozone. I'm going to set it to a 0.5 speed because even though it's fast for the limiter setting, it's still actually pretty slow on the tube setting I'm going to use. And I'm going to give that, I think I'm going to set the ceiling to 0.2 and give that 1 dB. I really like how the vintage limiter on the tube setting gives it like quite a nice pumpy feeling on the drums, especially for big rock drums like these. See how that's cracked. It's like sounds great, this track. I'm just gonna set quite a big loop section.
In a darker place, that's when I fell back and went for it.
Again, maybe a bit boomy on the low. Okay, I'm just gonna set like a kind of multi-band compressor.
In a darker place, that's when I fell back and went for it somehow. 'Cause I couldn't let it loose, I couldn't let it go, to never have to go for it
I
now.
wanna always be checking with the reference.
In a darker place, that's when I fell back and went for it somehow. 'Cause I couldn't let it loose, I couldn't let it go, to
So I wanna bring out the transient a little in the top end. Really cute to give it a boost in the highs. So what we're boosting here is just a little bit of the transient information. And then after that, I'm going to use another, I'm going to use a per Q4. And I'm going to give it a high shelf and just dynamically boost it a little. And give it a pretty fast attack. A tiny little dip, like 0.2 dB here, just to let those guitars shine a little bit more. So a small boost around here where those guitars are sitting as well. Again, like 0.2 dB. So that's where that bite is. And then I'm going to go straight over to the analog. So for the analog, I'm pretty much just going to do a high boost, so top shelf. And I one, and then one on the air too. So a little bit more excitement now. And I'm going to go back over to the 331. And then again, it's running through the illicit alpha. And that's all I'm going to do with analog on this track. Just give it some high end to get a little extra excitement out of it. I want to give it a little bit of punch where this kick is, more in the upper frequency ranges of the kick.
I never have
jumping between a reference. All the drums and everything are popping a lot more, which I really like. See how the vocal is feeling at the beginning of the track, because there isn't really any vocal in the end section, so. So I hear in this kind of beginning section, the kick might be a bit too boomy. Really like how the high bass has made those guitars pop.
In God of fashion, vectors passed its way, and days went by in a darker place. I'm high, 'cause I couldn't let it lose.
So I'm thinking about, yeah, I'm gonna add an EQ just to tame that really low end, because it's quite a subby kick and it can be a bit overwhelming.
I've gotta let it go, and never have to go for it now. I've gotta let
So I think that works a bit better.
I've gotta let it go.
We could pull back a little on invisible limiter. So I pretty much done with this track. Again, I'm gonna add a little bit of inflator after. So I think for this track, 8% would be quite nice. A little extra saturation makes the high end of those guitars pop really nicely. So essentially with this track, just made it a bit more dense, a bit more exciting. So it's a pretty simple master, but the mix is already there. Just bringing out everything a little extra, especially those transients in the high end, bringing up those guitar levels and like a little bit of saturation that the transformers and the analog give me are really just making everything pop, especially vocal tone. Hear nicely when jumping between methods. So you can hear a bit more of like the preamp sound a little, which is really nice. I haven't added any compression to this master. I don't think it needs it. I really like how the pluck of those guitars is coming through. So we're hitting pretty loud. We're hitting over between like -6 and -5 laughs in this section. It just works for this track. Like you see, I'm not really doing much limiting. I'm doing a little bit of clipping. The loudness for this track is definitely for power. I'm not really thinking about like if it's commercially loud or anything. It's just hitting here at the level I like it. And the beginning section isn't extremely loud. We're hitting around -11 loss.
Changed in many ways. In God of fish and time takes its way. And peace had been focused. I have to let it go.
That's how this master has turned out. I'm pretty happy with it. What I do now is I print it. I'd correct these fades at the beginning and end. So I should probably do that now. So you can see a bit of that process because it is a big part of mastering. So we can hear that vocal comes in here. We can see like how the waveform starts. I think I'll just put a little bit of a fade. And a little bit of a lead up time with this track is quite nice because it comes in on just the vocal. So it doesn't need to be instant. And then the fade out.
Something has been going on.
And again, a nice little break after everything. Sounds quite nice. So if this was in an album, I'd definitely be thinking of the flow here. So yeah, I think that works perfectly. And now I'll do the same as the last track and I'll print it on a new stereo track. Alright, so I've done the bounce now of this track. So I'm just gonna give it like a listen through and compare to the reference and stuff and then make sure I'm happy with it.
That's haunting our foundation about something that's been going on.
Definitely like that, like a little extra low mid energy in the room.
What you have lost, oh, so many years from now, but still want to go for it somehow. But I gotta let it loose. I've gotta let it go. I never have to go for it now.
So just listening to different sections, seeing how they sound compared, and just seeing how I feel like as a listener. Not really thinking about what I've done, especially since it's bounced now, so I can't go back. So I'm just thinking about it as a listener and seeing how it affects me emotionally.
I never have to go for it now. I've gotta let it go. I never have to go for it now. I've gotta let it go. I never have to go for it now.
It's gentle, so it doesn't cut through too much.
Then changing factors passed its way, and days went by in a darker place. That's when I fell back at. Then changing factors passed its way, and days went by in a darker place. That's when to never have to go for it now.
Definitely a lot more in your face and atmospheric, which is what I wanted from this. Just have a bit more energy to it.
I've got this weirdest conversation that's haunting our foundation about something that's been going on.
Great. So I'm happy with it. Pretty simple master. I've just used the analog for tone, which is mostly what I use it for, and a little bit of excitement from the high boost. And the general processing on the track was very simple. This little Pro and B, split EQ, just boosting some transients, tiny bit of EQ, 0.2 dB, and then the external effects, and then the limiters, and then finally, just to tame again after the print, just a little bit of a low cut. And that's the mastering of this track. So now we're going to be working on the track Wa Nionia by Kwame Waji, mixed by Lem Mido. And really dynamic, really atmospheric, really nice. Really textured, sounds lovely. So I definitely want to be aware of that. We used to do quite a few different sections. So this one, I'm going to start off giving it a tiny bit of level, but I really don't. I want to keep intact the dynamics. I'm going to use that ash just to get the level up. I'm not thinking about clipping it. I'm really liking how all this track sounds really. First thing I'm going to do is give it a little bit more ambience in the side. So I'm going to boost that 1 dB, and then I'm going to use a Pro Q. And with the Pro Q, I'm going to use it in mid-side mode. I'm going to use a side band. All in the top ranges. I'm giving quite a bit of side signal. So I've got 1 dB from the MSED and then about 1 and a bit dB. I'm going to give it a tiny little. I use the SPL machine head from plugin lines in the SPL. I'll try giving a little bit of saturation with that early on, see how that sounds. I'm using this because it's sort of a tape sound, and I really like what it's going to do to the texture in the highs, and then also the fatness of the low end, because it's really nice pulsing sub, which I really want to bring out a bit. So that sounds lovely. I'm going to use a bit of compression with the Magic Death 5. About touching the needle. I'm going to use 2 times oversampling because it's a bit smoother sounding. And then I'm going to, from here, send it over to the analog. So with the analog, I'm going to give it a little bit of a boost at 70 just to bring out that sub a little more. 0.5 dB on the top shelf as well at 1.2K. The 3-3-1. I'm gonna give it just a little bit. So it's going into a 3-3-1 less top. Really liking how it's placing all the different instruments in the side signal a bit more present. Cool. So I'm done with the analog there. What I want to do is I want to give it a tiny bit of EQ post analog, and what I'm going to use is the new what is it, the EQ825 plugin from Plugin Lives and Lindell, which I really like. Give it a bit at around 2 to 5k, so I'll probably say at 3. That's where that like vocal tone sitting and everything can kind of even out, and there's a bit of a gap between where that kind of textured hi-hat is. So I want to bring out what's in between that a little bit. Giving a tiny boost at 80. I'm not looking at the numbers here, I'm just doing it by feel. And then with the Michelangelo, gonna do similar what I did with the Roebucks track. I'm just gonna give it a tiny bit of saturation with it. Jumping between the master and the reference currently. Just bringing out all the individual elements. Might just finally give it a bit of high frequency limiting again, just to tighten up that little hi-hat. Listening to the reference. Just feels a little bit more pulled together, but also ambient and separated, which is really nice for this song, and it creates quite an enveloping sound, which is going to be quite an emotional feeling.
Nyonyama maheni ne
keeping it pretty dynamic. Don't want to mess with any of that. Give it like 4% on the inflator. I want to give it a tiny low boost. So that final EQ is not really doing much, but it just adds a little bit of more of that low end back in after limiting, and a little bit more vocal as well, like a little extra presence. And with and I want to check out the sort of transition section, see how they're mixing up level wise. I just pull back a little on the side EQ. Just a tiny bit. It's a nice balance between making it a bit more ambient than the original mix, but still retaining what's in there. Lovely. So here I'm done with it now. I'm gonna keeping it pretty dynamic. I might do the same if I did the other track with the vintage limiter. Just giving it a little extra of it because I do like the tone. I'm going to set the ceiling to 0.3 and give it maybe like half a dB. This track's not really hitting the limiters often at all. Just gently touching the limiters every so often, but not. Perfect. Really happy with this. So again here, I'll do a print and review it after. Now we're going to do Stronger by Lil Empire with Chris Ibbison's remix of it. We're going to do this one as a bit of a stem master. So I have the instrumental on one track and the vocal on another track. And both sound pretty good. It's good for demonstration purposes. It's quite a good sounding pop tune, this. pretty much know where I want to go over already. I'm going to listen through the different sections. So when I'm working on a stem master, I do the processing on the track level, and then anything I need to adjust on the individual stems, I use the clip level here. Same as before when I was doing separate plugins on different parts of the track. But I'll start off working on the thing as a whole. I never really listen in solo because we're working on the track as a whole. No one's going to hear it in solo. I'm making sure it works together. I'm not worried about how things sound alone. So I'm never using solo for this. Let me use Ash again here. I want to go relatively loud on this track. That's where it feels about right. I'm giving it 2 dB here. I've got a level that sounds really nice. So the first thing I want here is just a little bit more weight, really low down. So I'm going to use a bell. I'm just going to make it dynamic. Now the really small bump down, I like 20 hertz for a quite wide cue. And the vocal, I want to, there's quite a bright kind of frequency, which I just... Then he'll take me give it a little extra low mid too. I want to bring out a little bit of those guitars, so. I'm going to give it a dynamic boost here where like the vocals and the top of the guitars are sitting, and that's going to make them pop a little as they hit. the plugin Articulate by Newfangled Audio, which is basically a transient shaper. And I'm going to add just a tiny bit of extra punch. And you'll hear the delta of what I'm adding. So let's go here. They're exaggerated. I'm going to add that gently in, like half a dB. And I'm going to use the Michelangelo again for a little bit of saturation, and I'm going to boost the low end a tiny bit down about 80 hertz. So I'm creating quite a punchy sound here, which is what I want to go for this track. Make it quite danceable. I think the last thing I want to do is go over to the analog. Yeah. So with the analog again, I'm not gonna use the kite or the SVL. I'm gonna use the 331. Using it quite strong to give it a bit of extra depth. And then I am going to compress a little with the Alicia. I'm only touching the compressor a little. It's barely lighting up. The first light is 1 dB and it occasionally comes on a little. I'm using a really slow attack, a really fast release, just to make it a bit tighter. But again, it's hitting probably like 0.1 dB or so every so often. This track's already pretty, I know all the elements are like compressed, it's pretty glued together, so I'm not really worried about trying to tighten things up too much. Just a little bit of the compressor sound I like on this. So after the analog, I'm going to again do a tiny bit of high frequency limiting, this time a bit more bouncy. So I'm going for quite a bit more in your face sound, a bit more impactful. And one thing I want to do is go back to my first EQ, and I want to put it in mid-side mode, and I think I might just cut away some of this side low end, just so the center signal is a bit more focused. So I'm just cutting away some of this side like rumble, just to make the kick drum sit in the middle a lot better, which works well for dance music. So I'm going to compare to the reference. I'm also going to tame the side signal a little, just down at like 250, 300 hertz.
I don't need your help. Make me go crazy. Maybe I don't need your hype. 'Cause I'm stronger, I'm stronger, I'm stronger. Get out, get out, get out. Stronger, I'm stronger.
I'm going to add a high shelf on the side signal too. And I'm going to make it dynamic and bounce up a little.
I don't need your hype. Lately your lips have made me go crazy.
Give like a moving, airy side.
I don't need your hype. Lately your lips have made me go crazy. Maybe I don't need your hype. 'Cause I'm stronger, I'm stronger, I'm stronger. Get out, get out, get out. Stronger, I'm stronger, I'm stronger.
So the track feels a lot tighter now, which I'm really happy with. Last thing I want to do is, again, I think a little extra push, around like 7% with the inflator.
I don't need your hype. Lately your lips have made me go crazy. Maybe I don't need your hype. 'Cause I'm stronger, I'm stronger, I'm stronger. Get out, get out, get out. Stronger, I'm stronger, I'm stronger. Get out, get out, get out.
Would be nice to have the snare, maybe the crack of the snare cut through a little better. So I'm going to use split EQ again. I'm going to
I don't need your lately your lips have made me.
just a gentle amount here.
I don't need your lately your lips have made me go crazy. Maybe I don't need your hype.
Makes it come through a lot better.
Get out, get out, get out. Stronger, I'm stronger, I'm stronger. Get out, get out, get out. Ooh, your hand held mine, and all I could find. I'm feeling the end of the line. No
Really like how forward those guitars are sounding in the end section. So now all my loudness stuff is done. I think I'm gonna give it a little extra push. Around here where the vocals and the drum lives. Like 0.1 dB. And another little bump on the low end. We also had a tiny dip in the tops. So jumping to the beginning.
Baby, I don't care if you wanna fly, then here take go crazy. Baby, I don't need your heart.
Definitely has more of a pop sheen, which is definitely what I wanted from this.
3 minutes ago, you slammed the door. I'm fighting the feeling, I might crack some more.
So comparing the master to the mix, so here's the master. Now jump to the mix. And to the master. And then the chorus. So the mix now. And the master. Hey, really happy with how this turned out. Loudness is up to -6 lufs, which works well for this kind of music, and it's a really dense track, and it works for the power, and especially in the quiet sections, -10. So we got a nice bit of dynamics throughout the track, especially. But the vocal is still very present, so it doesn't sound like the track dips away there. So the dynamics work really nice there, and the loudness in the loud sections are for power, not just for the sake of loudness.
Thank you ever so much.
Thank you. It's been great having you here.
I love being here as ever, and great work. Thank you.
Oh.
Look down below and you can download the before and after. And of course, you can go back and reference and see what Stefan did. A lot of fun. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, adios, goodbye.